This episode of PromoAM is brought to you by Promo Journal, a division of Promo Corner. Promo Journal provides fresh, daily content from industry thought leaders. Blogs, videos, product features, and live content all in one convenient location. Weekly advertising opportunities are available. Contact sales at promocorner.com to get your message seen.
Good morning and welcome to PromoAM. I'm your morning anchor, Amelia Model, and joining me this morning is Steve Woodburn. Steve, thank you so much for being on here with me.
You're very welcome. Honored to be a guest.
Yes, I love it. So you have a long history of not just promo, but a lot of odds and ends that you've done that I really want to get into. But we're going to start simple for everybody. You've been in the industry for probably close to 30 years between distributor and supplier.
34. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, that all of a sudden makes it a whoa, over 30.
That's exactly how old I am.
Oh, wow.
Not.
So I'm into this before. That's scary. Thanks for making me feel so old.
Just kidding. Not true. I wish I was 34 again. But besides being a supplier and a distributor, you're an author and also a contributor. And you've been writing an editorial for Promo Corner called The Only Constant is Change. And how long have you been writing that for us?
I think it's about 5 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, I met Bill Petrie when he was there. And I was telling him, I like to write and I do a blog. And he said, oh, you should write for us. So that's how I got started doing it.
Awesome. And for people that have not read your editorial that you write, what is it that you're writing about? Change, obviously.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's related to promo products. Other times it's just related to life in general. The last one I just wrote, which was, I think, last Friday, it was called What's Your Plan B?
Mm-hmm.
And it's about having a plan should something happen. When COVID hit, a lot of people, including myself, were let go. Millions were let go from their jobs. And the majority had no idea what they were going to do. Luckily, I had a plan B and I was able to implement it and start working on it. So it was just, it was about, how to go about formulating a plan B for your life.
Awesome. It was a good read. And you do that monthly, correct? You write monthly for us?
Yep,
okay.
Once a month.
So everybody follow on Promo Journal. You can read his article monthly. So besides writing for us, you write for other people, I believe, websites. You're also, I mentioned, an author. So you write a book about an adventure. And I believe your adventuring partner is right back there on the shelf behind you, Mr. Moosey.
Yeah. My wife and I co-wrote a book called Marvelous Moosey's Adventures Begin. It's a moose with blue hooves. Have you ever seen a moose with blue hooves?
No.
We gave him blue hooves because he's unique and he's marvelous. And our goal is that people will understand it's okay to be different and they'll embrace those differences because that's what makes the world go round. And Marvelous Moosey goes on adventures all over the world. There's a lot of things we want to start doing with him. I could see an animation. We've talked about some sort of podcast or bedtime stories. We've got additional books and characters. So that's something that's fun to work on.
Very cool. So where could I find the book? Can I order it on Amazon or at a local bookstore, or is it online?
Right now, we're selling what we call the Adventure Bundle, which is Moosey, a 12-inch plush, very soft with blue hooves, obviously. It comes with a book, comes with a sheet of stickers that are hoof prints because his hoof print, which is blue, it looks like a heart. And it's packaged in his moose case, which is the interactive box he comes in. We are about to get another inventory of books, so we'll be selling just books, but right now we're selling the Adventure Bundle, marvelousmoosey.com. That's the website.
That's awesome. That's so cute. I'm afraid my kids would be outgrown for that, but I can think of some really good presents for my nephews and nieces.
Yeah, it's fun.
So you write, you're an author, you've been a supplier, you've been a distributor. You've also done a couple other things in your past that not everybody would know. Although speaking to you, I can get the general feel. If I close my eyes, I can imagine you as a radio personality. So you've been a radio DJ and a news anchor.
Right. I worked in radio for about 20 years before I found the promotional products world. And flew around in a helicopter over Atlanta doing traffic twice a day as well. And was in management, and just it was fun. It was a different world. Radio was different back then. It's a whole different world now because of Sirius and Spotify and all those services. Now people don't listen to radio like they used to, but it was fun at the time, and I loved being in radio. It's very creative.
Yeah, well, that's really cool. Flying around on a helicopter scares the jeepers out of me, but
it was fun.
But those jobs maybe helped or had something to do with this newer series that you've created or helped create with Promo Corner called Profiles. Tell us a little bit about what Profiles is, how it runs, what the segment is like, so people can kind of stay tuned.
Sure. So Profiles, basically we're interviewing, I call them industry icons, people that are very recognizable in our industry, people that have been a part of the industry for many years. Our first interview, Joel Shafer, he's been in the industry 50 years, I think. The gentleman we have coming up next month, I gave away the fact it's a male.
Spoiler.
Yeah, I know. Spoiler alert. He's been in the industry for 68 years. So it's talking to people and learning their stories. You know, a lot of people that are new to this business think it's just this business of putting logos on stuff. They don't understand the history behind it, how it's been around literally for well over 100 years. The first promotional product that they've traced back to is George Washington and his campaign buttons. So it's a fascinating business, and nobody gets into this industry, or I will say the only people that get into this industry on purpose are if their family's in it. But for the most part, if you're in this industry, it's because you completely found it by accident. And ironically, there's a lot of radio people and television people, former radio and television people that have gotten into the promotional products business. And I think, again, it's because of the creativity. You've got to have some creativity to be in this business and understand how to help clients using your creativity to keep their brand going. So the show is, we do every other month. There's 3 interview segments. So once a week for the first 3 weeks of the month, we'll introduce or let one of the episodes drop. And so we interview the person. We do cut that into 3 segments. And it's not your typical interview show. It's not me asking a question, them answering, me asking, them answering. It's more like a news story. So to your point, that's kind of my background was being in news. We try and make it engaging. We try and make it fun. We try and find people that, again, have a lot of stories and can tell us what it means to be in this industry and how you can make your path if you're new.
Yeah, it was a good, and the segment that you did for, was that just last month in August? It seems like so long ago. Teresa Moisette from Oklahoma, who's a little spitfire.
Oh, she is.
Petite little woman, but she's a feisty firecracker, and I love that lady. And it is a story. So like, I'm asking you questions, you're responding. It's not like that. It's a story about their lives and what they've accomplished or seen. Because a lot of these folks have been around the block for a couple times. They've made a few laps and they've seen a lot of changes in the past. So after the first 3 segments drop, then there's the 4th installment, which is kind of like a book club. Do you want to tell everybody about how that works?
Yeah, we've called it the book club. We've called it a meet and greet, but basically it's myself, our editor, Brandon, and the guests that we interviewed live. And people can join and ask questions because after listening to the podcast, they may say, you know, I always wanted to know about blah, blah, blah from this person. So it's an opportunity for people to interact with the guests and ask questions and learn more that goes beyond what we actually talked about in the podcast.
Yeah, it's a really good way to follow up, especially if you listen to them. And my favorite is that you do break that up over 3 times. And so like all good things, I binge watch or binge listen to anything because 1, I forget, and 2, I get busy. So I like to have everything kind of current for the face-to-face, or the not face-to-face, but the live interaction and conversation. So it's still fresh. And when they're telling their stories, I can kind of put those together.
Yep.
So the next episode you hinted is coming up. So that comes out in October. And that drops the first episode. Do you have the date when that first one drops?
Looks like the next episode for October, or the first October episode, will be on the 5th.
The 5th
We
of
always
October.
launch them on a Tuesday. So
Okay.
3 Tuesdays in a row. And then that last week is on a Friday, the meet and greet or the book club.
Yep. Friday afternoons at 3 p.m. Eastern, I believe.
Mhm.
Yep. It's a good way to wrap up your day, and you can listen and you can have a cocktail if you so choose, and no one can judge you because you're just typing away and listening.
That's right. Nobody can see you. So
Yeah. So I've learned a lot about you just from what I read about your bio and reading your articles. Are there any other hidden talents that Steve has that I don't know about and that you want to share? I bet there's several we don't know about, but any other jobs or hidden talents that you want to share with us?
No, radio was like I said, I love doing radio. I actually I love to write. I've always loved to write. That's been something I've done since I was in high school. I actually co-wrote a play that was performed in New York. Never went farther than a reading, but it was on a gentleman named Emma Kelly Sr., who most younger people would have no clue who that was, but he was in his time the world's most famous clown. He was with Ringling Brothers. He was on his own. He did TV commercials. He was in movies. And so a gentleman and I in New York co-wrote a play about him. So done a lot of things, mostly all on the creative side of life, and just enjoying this second half of life, I guess you'd call it, doing the podcast.
The second act.
Yeah, the second act. Exactly. Ironically, there's something called 50 Plus Today, which I had not heard of until about 5 months ago. And I found it online, and I was looking at it for Moosey in terms of grandparents and, things like that. And they give out an award once a month called the Second Act Award. And I just got that for September. I was awarded that. So they do a little interview and, we're talking about Moosey and the whole adventure with him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool. What you told us the kind of the background. Sorry, I'm going back to music because I just think it's so cute. Did something inspire that? Do you have grandkids or a child in your life or something that, brought that up to try and teach people? And I would assume with it being a purple hoofed moose, it's for younger generations. Blue. I'm a K-State fan. I'm thinking purple right now. A blue hoofed moose, and I could see him to inspire that message.
Ironically, probably the child is me. We don't have grandkids yet. Our oldest son is getting married in November. But he said to me, I don't know if I'm ever going to have kids. So I don't know if we'll ever have grandkids. We've got 2 other opportunities down the road with our other kids. But my wife says I blow my nose like a moose. So that kind of started things off, ironically enough. I was also born on Dr. Seuss's birthday. And she was at a store where they always have a plush and a book by the checkout stand. If you buy it, the money goes to charity. So she bought a moose. They just happened to have this moose there and the book to go along with it, and brought it home thinking that we would play with him for a week or 2 and, give him away. Well, I started posing him around the house. So she'd come home from work and he'd be by a mixing bowl with flour on his nose and a spoon and look like he'd been cooking, or he'd be in the liquor cabinet, or he'd be doing his hoofs, like she does her nails. And we'd post it on Facebook and people said, oh, you should make it go viral. And it's like, yeah, right. How do you do something like that? Plus the moose she had bought was a patented character, so we couldn't do anything with him. It's one of those things I really don't know. I almost feel like it was universe inspired, because we just got this idea one day to create our own moose and give him blue hooves, because I think we love blue. One of our favorite colors is blue. So we gave him blue hooves, and took quite a while to create him. We had somebody do a prototype. We found a manufacturer that could help us produce the book, the case, the moose. We wrote the book, we got an illustrator, and it all just kind of came together. So it's not easy getting a brand into the world, even if it's cute. But that's something we're working on now. And I've applied to Shark Tank, just in case anybody from Shark Tank's watching this.
Lori, Damon,
Yeah, there you go.
Mr. Wonderful.
But we're starting to do some promotions. We're going to attend a couple of festivals and trying to get some media to give us some attention for the fact it's Atlanta based, and we've got 5 patents around the world. And we just worked with the local children's hospital on what they call their Carathon for childhood cancer. So, one of these days he's going to be world famous. It just takes a while to get there.
Hey, moose are not, well, actually, I think they are kind of fast in real life, but I was going to say, you don't think of them as being fast. So it's a slow transition, but actually I think they are pretty fast in real life. I was going to ask, when you were talking about how you played the moose around, how long ago was that you started doing that? I want to know, were you the originator? Did somebody copy Elf on the Shelf off of your moose and their mischievous ways?
No, actually, they've been around for quite a while. In fact, I looked a lot at what they had done, because they were really the first company to package a book and a product together in a box. So they've been around since the early 2000s. We started doing this about 5 years ago, so we haven't been around nearly as long. So if they started in 2000, then we've got 15 years to go before we get famous. But
well, a moose is way less creepy than an elf to me, so I will gladly let a moose get into mischievous around as opposed to an elf.
I've heard that a lot. And we're lucky. He's wound up in some fun places. He's up in Canada. He's in Hong Kong. There's a moose in Hong Kong, a marvelous moosey. Our book editor, sent it to a friend of hers who's in Hong Kong. So their son loves him and takes him around. And so it's kind of fun seeing where he ends up. And we'll continue to grow him and see what happens.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time and chatting with me today. It was very interesting. And it's too bad you could not interview yourself for a profiles, because I think you would be a very interesting character, but I don't know how you're going to do that one. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would be so well, go over so well, but thank you. It's been a pleasure doing this, and appreciate the opportunity to talk about profiles. You bet. Can't wait for the next one to drop. Thanks. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. I'm Amelia Model from PromoAM, wishing you a happy PM.